ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you are having a wonderful afternoon. As it heads into the evening, I'm watching the kids go outside, and I'm just saying, maybe it's the dad in me now, but stay out the streets. Stop playing in the streets. Today, we are listening to a little George Barati. We're going to listen to this piece of music, Chamber Concerto for Oboe, Clarinet, Bassoon, and Strings. Let's see, the first movement, Energica, which I'm imagining just means a lot of energy. Non troppo allegro. We're listening to the 2023 master version. We're listening to this because can't speak. We're listening to this because it was suggested and sponsored by R. Gray. Thank you so much for the suggestion. Thank you so much for the support as well. I've never heard of George Barati, so I pulled up his Wikipedia page really quickly. And he was a Hungarian-American cellist, composer, and conductor. He studied while a student at the Liszt Academy of Music in the 30s and became widely known as a performer throughout Hungary, both as a soloist and with the Pro Ideal Quartet. And he immigrated to the U.S. in 1938, studied at Princeton, etc., etc. He also moved to Hawaii. He's kind of been around quite a bit. But we're going to listen to this particular piece and movement of music. I have it pulled up here. We'll go ahead and give it a listen. We'll discuss it a little bit after. Here we go. Starts up again. It's like a peaceful resolution to that drama. There's that drama sneaking back in. Quietly. Just creeps in. Always that little oboe to resolve. That was a heavy piece. I liked how heavy and like ravenous that was. Can I? Well, let me. I guess I can look it up real quick. Okay, so this piece was released in 1952. Was this around the same time as Holst with the Planets? Because it kind of carries a similar kind of weight, a similar kind of aggression. Not quite to the extent of like a Mars, but like it feels like that kind of contemporary classical music, at least in this genre. I don't know, it's outside of my realm and my scope of music, to be honest, but it does kind of remind me of something in that in that range, I guess you could say, in that those movements here. This one, of course, kind of living up to its name, the Energico or Energico, and I like how punchy it is. Those strings are thrashing. They're violent, but at the same time, they're not like overly so. They're not like, crazy or scary or anything like that. But there is a sort of dynamic. There is a sort of punchiness to the way that they play. And I love how Like there's moments continually through here where it's almost like those strings are acting in waves, with a singular one kind of going forward and then more coming up behind. They line up into a harmony. They line up into kind of a frenzy. It's coming, it's getting to a climax, and then it stops and the oboe comes in. I'm assuming it's the oboe. And it just is really cool how like all of that drama, all of that tension is so quickly like de-escalated. Basically, all the air is lit out of that. I thought that was cool, and then it basically rebuilds itself. What I thought was really nice, though, I'm just pulling the piece back up here, is kind of near the intro. Because to me, like I said, the whole piece of music, this whole movement has kind of that dark, violent kind of intensity. Maybe violence too strong of a word, but something in that nature. However, right here, in the intro, as those strings are kind of gently and subtly cutting in the background, kind of creating like a little bit of a Jaws tension, right? It's rapid, it's coming at you, but it is quiet and deeply lurking in the water. You're not quite sure that it's there yet, although you may have felt something brush your legs. But before the kraken or the shark comes out to grab you, before that, the way that the bassoon, the oboe are kind of playing around above that, it kind of reminded me and made me think of the imagery of like a battlefield. There's war, there's destruction, there's the ashes, there's fires, there's soldiers standing and laying down. There, it's a scene of carnage. But just above this, there's two birds, and they're just flying over this battlefield. They are still kind of representative of peace, and they are still of a mind of peace. All they want to do is get to their nest, but just below them is absolute destruction. For some reason, this reminded me of that, because the oboe and bassoon are playful. They kind of fly. They have nothing to do with like what's going on below. They're just kind of flying around doing their thing. But below that are those cutting strings and the intense drama kind of coming from that. But I do like how this piece of music came up in those moments and dropped down. Came up in those moments and dropped right back down. It just had a really great dynamic, and it was very easy to listen to. Like there's some pieces of music that we listen to here, classical, I'm referencing, that for me, especially because it's not quite a genre that I'm overly familiar with whatsoever, and it really is still new to me, that are harder to listen to. They're harder to take in. This felt a lot more conventional in a sense, and easy to understand and kind of understand the flow and feel it. And I think the intensity that's brought about is really cool. Like even in quiet moments like this, halfway in, the pizzicato strings and the way that those are playing still are geared and leaning towards a sense of weight. And you know it's coming back, you just don't quite know when. And there are a couple times that it comes in surprisingly and nonetheless very intensely. And I just think that was really cool. And I did look it up really quickly, but Holst had written his movements 1914 to 1917. So I'm off by a couple decades, or a few decades rather, on there. But I thought that this was a cool piece of music and a cool movement from this concerto. So thank you, Argray, for the recommendation. Let me know what you guys thought of it, of course, in the comments down below. I appreciate you always being here. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you had a good time, and I hope that you come back tomorrow. Thank you for being here, and I will see you all later. Bye, guys.